Ciao, sono Simone Bianchi e state ascoltando il podcast dei Marvel Card Collectors. Ciao a tutti.
Hello everybody, my name is Ian Taylor and you are listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, your weekly digest of hobby goodness. I'm not going to fluff this intro too much as I want to get into it, but to quote Frasier Crane, and I don't mean tossed salad and scrambled eggs, but more, I'm listening. So Nathan Brabon and Jake McManus. Welcome, gents.
Morning, how are you today, Ian?
I love it. Big pause, and then you both talk over each other.
That's how these go.
We've turned into a married couple, Ian. And I don't have any etiquette. I just speak when I feel like it.
Yeah,
I know. I feel like he's screwing me every night, and I never get dinner.
Oh my goodness me! Starting as we mean to go on. So Nathan, you've been on very recently. You've got to be the fastest return guest I think we've ever had.
Well, I think I'm happy about it. I am happy about that.
Well,
I think I am. I am happy about that. Listen, thank you.
Velvet Thunder was your nickname. I'm now going to call you the Bearded Boomerang because as soon as I threw you came back again. Bearded Boomerang. That sounds filthy on some level. Anyway,
there we go.
Jake, a lot of people might know who you are, but for those who don't know who are you?
It's a deep question, Ian.
I was going to say, there's a look of fear in your eyes then.
What a philosophical question. Who am I?
You know, who are you, Jake?
Hey, we're going deep. We're going deep early.
Yeah, we are. He says on the second date. So this is going to happen. This is going to have a normal suitable for work warning on this one, I think. So Jake, I know who you are, and some people who listen to this might have seen you on social media. But what's your social media handle?
Yeah, so I'm Jake McManus on the Facebook groups you may have seen or not seen. And then on Instagram, I'm Metaverse UK. And then I also do the Marvel Jerks podcast on Spotify and Apple with either Nath or Ginger Man Cards.
Ginger Man, Nick. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Now you've been on. So Nathan, you're kind of going on a bit of a tear at the moment in terms of content creation, because every time I turn around, you're there. So there's the Marvel Roundtable that we spoke about a couple of weeks back, and eager-eared listeners. Is that a phrase? It is now. We'll remember that. And now you're doing this thing with Jake on Marvel Jerks. And we just had, before we started recording, we just had a big conversation about how much the fact that you haven't slept, basically, because it's just gone 8 a.m. where you are?
Just after 7 where I'm at.
Just after 7. So you're literally on the tail end of an all-nighter. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's pretty much almost an every night thing.
Okay, good. Do you mind? We didn't get into this last time. I'm just curious. What do you guys do for a living?
Me? So I go first?
Go ahead.
I'm going to jump in, Dave. Nothing to do with you.
No, I was going to let you go first.
Back off. I renovate buildings, so I've got a small building company. And me and my mate who lives in Spain, he does the office work, I do the manual work. We get a building, renovate it, and then generally put homeless people in it for charities, etc.
Wow. Okay.
So at the moment, I've had a few months off, so that's why I've been popping up a lot all over the place, because I've got time, basically.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually 24/7.
Yeah. So when you get another project, you'll disappear and we won't hear from you for a bit.
Well, no, because I'm still obsessed even when I'm doing it. So it just like I might be in the van having a minute, or in between buildings and lives collapsing and whatever goes on a building site.
Oh.
I'm still there. I'm still lurking. I'm still messaging. I'm still doing things. I'm a bit funny, me. Ian. I've been in Marble Cards maybe 2 years, and I've probably been messaging you almost 2 years, or maybe 18 months or so. But I'm very careful as to I don't jump in all over people's faces. I wait and watch and lurk and see who I want to be in contact with, who I don't want to be in contact with, possibly. and take it from there. Yeah,
You're like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. You kind of
a little
bide your
bit. Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Then I jump all over you, and you're not getting away. That's how I got married.
Yeah. 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 I'm going to move on quickly.
Yeah.
Nate, what do you do? Because you mentioned to me you're self-employed.
Yeah, so I actually do several different things. So my primary is I recruit and train real estate agents for buying and selling homes, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But I also break cards at a local card shop
Uh-huh.
on Whatnot. We do that as well. I do delivery driving in my free time when I can't sleep, like in the overnight times when I'm just wide awake and mind's bouncing all over the place.
Hmm.
And I also do some reselling stuff with my wife and on eBay. So
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Well, you mentioned what will be the kind of talking point for this episode, when your mind's bouncing around and you can't sleep. So you two did an episode a couple of weeks back of Marvel Jerks, which focused on, I don't know if you even set out to talk about it, because you kind of feel they feel quite organic, those episodes. So I don't know if you intended to talk about it or not, but it focused on the kind of mental health aspect of the hobby,
yeah.
I guess.
Yep.
Now I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes. So I'm just scrolling through because it kind of relates to an episode that Norrin and I did a couple of years ago now, episode 116. We did we've done a couple of them actually, kind of loosely titled Hobby Care. And this one was about overspending. In fact, its title was Overspending on the Red Glow Casino. And we had, which someone came up with. I didn't write that. I'd love to have written it, but I didn't. We actually put a thing in MCCW and said, "Can you tell us if you've had any experiences? You can either post it or just DM." We had so many people reach out. It was ridiculous. And someone else came up with that. What we found off the back of that episode is we had an awful lot of people reach out and say that episode needed to happen. It kind of needed to be said. So I'm curious to know what response you've had from that episode, if any.
Very much a similar response to what you're speaking about there, where people are just reaching out to me and, hey, I absolutely love that episode. That was fantastic. You guys did a great job on it. I'm glad somebody's actually talking about this. That's the feedback that I've received from people about it.
Did you? I think I got cancelled. No, but nobody messaged me or anything. I think I just like all my followers went. My wife came in and she said, "What are you doing talking about that on air?" And yeah, the grandkids haven't been since, and etc. etc. No, I had tons of messages, lots of messages, people coming out the woodwork who I've seen and never spoken to before, and not one negative comment I might add. And it wouldn't matter if there was a negative comment because
No.
I'd just say, that's your choice and you don't have to listen. You can turn off. But amazing feedback, yeah. Amazing.
Good. All right. Well, I'm not going to I kind of I want to talk to you because obviously you've got something coming up that we'll get onto that's kind of related to this. But I wanted to kind of carry on the conversation really, and just kind of don't want you to necessarily retread everything that you said in that episode, but because people can go and listen to it, and I'm sure people can hear about your BBC video that I'm sure you're fed up with people asking you about now, that's available on
Oh,
the
it's
internet.
good. No, it's. I'll never get fed up with that. I did it for a reason, for a purpose.
Mm,
For people to watch and like opened up my soul on that. And
mm, mm,
no, I'll never ever get fed up with that. I don't personally watch it or
mm.
anything, but I won't ever get fed up with it. I think I've watched it once, maybe twice.
Okay. How long ago was that now?
No, 7 years maybe.
Wow. Okay.
The website was huge at the time. I used to get well, the video doesn't say, but basically what I used to do is write blogs every week.
Hmm.
So when I was depressed or had mental health problems, I generally a lot of the time go rock climbing and I'd write blogs about it. And I had like professional climbers who got involved and also made YouTube videos about it. And this, that, the other. I used to do talks on things and appeared in lots of publications. I was the mental health board advisor for the British Mountaineering Council at the time
Wow. Okay.
for quite a few years. I think the website, etc., what I was doing was mentioned in the Houses of Parliament to because the government weren't doing anything with the outdoors and mental health at that time. So it did have some weight. And
Mm.
now you actually see the BBC have a program where they take people out in the outdoors and walking and talking about mental health and this, that, the other. And
Mm.
me and some other rock climbers and other people had quite a lot to do with that. So we changed the landscape quite a bit, really. But
Mm.
I quit. I got tired of the circus, to be honest with you. Yeah. It was just kind of people were approaching me, will you fly over to the US and we want to do like an hour documentary and we want to do this, that, the other. And I wasn't up for being like a media personality as such, you know what I mean? I was
Mm.
happy just writing my thing, but yeah, I was everywhere at one time, in magazines, books, got stuff published and that, and
Wow.
yeah, all sorts of questions.
Okay. Well, remind me afterwards to get your autograph. Do you? So, not that you need credentials to talk about this, but I just find it fascinating. And Nathan, do you in America, you often hear about people sort of saying, "Oh yeah, I've had therapy and all this sort of stuff." It's very much long been an accepted thing in the media that Americans have therapy. What's the reality?
I mean, the media might be presenting that way, but from a male perspective, it's not an accepted thing yet. It's becoming more and more accepted in the States. But as men and as a former veteran myself, our mindset was always just carry on, get your job done.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
never talk about your problems. It was internalize them, push them down, and just do what you're supposed to do to continue forward.
Mm.
But now I've been out of the service for 12 plus years now. And this past fall, I made a commitment to my wife to start doing better with my health and everything. And part of that is the mental health. So I started seeing a therapist because I have been having a lot of issues,
Mm.
mentally, stress wise, stuff like that. And the therapy has helped because it's nice because it's somebody you can talk to. And honestly, the cards are more therapy for me than the actual therapist is. Like being able to jump on a call with Jake and talk to Jake in the middle of the night, my time, and he's around her in the daytime. That's like having a therapist in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because similar type of experiences, at least mentally, with the stresses and whatnot.
Interesting. Just wanted to let you know,
All right.
because there are two English people on this podcast, we will have subtitles on the
Hey,
YouTube version.
I'm English too.
You are now. We've adopted it.
You're honorary. If you tune in on Monday, the 8th of May, apparently you can pledge allegiance to the King, which is a new thing they're doing this time around. Subtitles are available on the YouTube channel. And for those who dislike English accents because they are the worst, tough. So we'll carry on. I found it interesting recently. I had Jake, and we were talking about this on DM. I've had quite a stressful few weeks work-wise, for various reasons. And then mother-in-law was staying, which is always a bit stressful. Not because of her, but because you kind of got to be on your best behavior. And yeah, I'm not going to dig myself out of that one. So we'll move on quickly. And the group, the MCCW, had its like 5th birthday thing going on. And I remember Jake and I were having a little backwards and forwards, and I kind of alluded to something, and I think you took it the wrong way, but I was kind of like saying I'm not sure how I feel about it because it was kind of an odd one for me because it's a wonderful thing that the group's 5 years old and 2 days before that had hit 5,000 members, and that's a fantastic thing, and lots of celebrations and giveaways, which I know you were on one of those giveaway streams, weren't you, Jake? Because we were there.
Yeah.
Oohing and ahhing over the wheel. It was a strange one because I'm kind of always aware of it, but there's always quite a lot of criticism of late of the group, or just generalized criticism that say, "Oh, is that a cat or a dog?"
No, it's the dog.
Oh, it's a dog. We've got a dog on the podcast.
Anything for views, such a slut.
Oh,
She is.
And it was an odd one because for me, I have trouble separating, taking it personally when there's a criticism of the group, which is an odd one for me because I set the group up at a point when I was probably struggling a bit, mentally for various reasons. So I just and it was interesting. I think I heard, you guys talking about some stuff on your podcast, and you mentioned about people being in comments and people being this, that, and the other. And I remember having a reaction to it and getting upset about it while I was listening to it. I can't remember if it was that episode or the previous episode that you'd done. And then I was like, hang on a minute, so you got to step away from this because you don't, the whole reason I stepped down from day-to-day moderation of the group was because it was actually becoming quite anxiety driving,
Yeah.
I was getting to the point with the group where I was having to moderate friends, which is weird. Yeah. And it was kind of like, it's just bizarre. It's like, I don't want to be in a position where I'm feeling anxious and stressed over the DMs I'm going to get when I wake up in the morning, which is kind of where I got to. And I'd then spend literally the first hour of every day for about 3 years was scrolling through every post, checking it, liking it, clicking it, and then doing all that. And I do that a few times a day. So literally every single post for about 3 years, I would like it to acknowledge I'd seen it, and I would tag it with a topic. And you think about how much stuff goes on in that group,
That's a lot. That's a lot to do every single day for 3 years.
It's a lot to do. Well, I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, I did it. The first year wasn't so bad partly because you didn't have the topics tagging, and it took a little bit of a while to get going. But years 2 to 4 were absolutely bonkers. And I kind of had to step off it. So when it got to the 5th birthday, I was kind of like, I'm still, my name's still above the door, and I'm still an admin, but I don't actually do any of that much anymore. I mean, I'll step in if I need to. But I step back from a well-being perspective, because while the group, I'm proud of what the group is. I'm also, for want of a better word, slightly triggered is probably not the right word, but it does trigger something. It triggers an emotional response when I see people not having a good time in the group, and when I see people saying that stuff's being said in the group, which is representative of everything I didn't want the group to be when I set it up, which I think you've seen and you've heard me talking about. So from an external perspective, I'm curious to know your perceptions of how folks interact in the hobby on social media and the impact that has on someone's well-being, someone's mental health, because my perception is that a lot of people, for want of a better word, drive defensively. And I think I don't drive, but I've cycled in London for enough years to know what the term means. So when you drive defensively, or it can be as dangerous as just regularly driving. What do you see? So when you look at MCCW, for an example, what do you see that triggers you, and where do you see that coming from in a lot of cases?
Dick, you want to take that one first?
Sorry, I was concentrating on my blurring screen on the thing.
You kind of keep going blurred and
don't worry
non-blurred.
about your screen. Focus on the conversation.
You just go for it, dear, because I'm sorry. I know it's a bit of a vague question. I didn't write this down properly. I kind of feel we just
I understand what he's saying.
No, I mean, sometimes when I look at the group, and I've only been in it 2 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Even when I see stuff, I feel part of it. I feel, because it feels as though it's a community. And you see people diving in and diving all over people, and even I think, like, why do we need to be like this? Why do we need to jump all over somebody's face because they don't agree with whatever your comment is? And then and there is a lot I've noticed in the group that, like, people have formed little clans or tribes or cliques. So you get one person jumping all over another person, then somebody else, because they're a friend, think, oh, well, I need to step in and defend that. And I read it and I'm just thinking, the MCCW that I know, just from 2 years previous, was not that MCCW.
Mm.
Do you know? And I've also noticed there's a lot of I can't think of an offhand example, but let's say somebody says, I love this card, this is the best artist in the world. Then somebody has to say, this is not the best artist in the world. Such a body is the best artist in the world. Then somebody else has to jump in and they have to say, yeah, well, but you're both wrong because this is the best artist in the world, and I've got a Wikipedia that says it is, and my eBay listing, and then go completely off topic. And it just at that point, I kind of turn off for a few days and don't watch for a few days, and I have seen periods of that with Unbound and with people buying and selling things. It turned into a buy and selling show for a short while, but the
Yeah.
mods did a really good job of getting rid of that
Mm.
because that became toxic. And at one point, I considered not leaving the group, but just choosing when I wanted to look at the group because it was turning into everything I didn't want it to be. The hobby is for fun, not for
Mm.
being a keyboard warrior, is it?
Mm.
But I think everyone's done a really good job of keeping hold of that and turning that around on the group. I think the mods are personally, but it can, it can really affect people. You don't know that small little comment that you put on. Somebody might have been sat there all day thinking, right, and this is a really bad example, but I really want to show this card off. I'm excited to show this sketch that I've got off. And then thinking, oh, well, I don't usually comment and I don't really want to, but I want to be part of the community instead of lurking. And then you put something on and then somebody dives all over you and they all dive over you. And it did get like that for a while, I think, personally.
Mm. Mm.
But it's still a happy place. My
Yeah.
happy place, anyway.
It's
Yeah, I
interesting.
think I've been.
Sorry,
Oh,
carry
sorry.
on,
Go
Nathan.
ahead.
No,
Oh, go
carry
ahead,
on, Nathan.
Ian.
No, it's all right. You go.
I think I've been a member for right about a year, maybe a little bit longer. Because I met Joshua just over a year. I met Joshua and Scandell at a local card show, and then shortly after that's when I found out about the group and joined. And I lurk. That's what I do. I lurk in the groups. I just look at stuff when I want to look at stuff. But like Jake said, recently it seems like it's been a lot of the attacking people that might not know. Not necessarily. I don't think attacking is the right word. Everybody's very strongly opinionated. I think is probably the better phrasing to it. And those opinions do influence other people's opinions. But like Jake said, you could have somebody that's brand new come in and make a post and they might not know, right? But when you're talking about like, hey, I have this sketch card, stuff like that, that's like open to interpretation who you feel is the best artist, because
of course,
art is, perspective and what you feel that you like. But I think a lot of the comments that tend to have me not go and post in any group, not just MCCW, but any group that's out there that I'm a part of, it's because of the attacking on individuals or their posts. And I say attacking, but again, it's not like you're trying to belittle the person or berate them. It's the strong opinion. So I'm just using the word attacking as the strong opinion portion. So it's those attacks that come in those posts, which then, like Jake said, you get the little groups that they're always on the same side and nobody ever has different opinions. Then you have other people that are trying to say, hey, just leave it alone. It's theirs. Leave it alone. Why are you even messing with it? Like we say it all the time. Like I know one of the rules in the MCCW is you can't price bash, right? That's a big thing in there. But I see it all the time, but it's not always enforced. And that's not necessarily on the admins. It's just open to interpretation what's considered price bashing. If I have a card, if it's worth $2 and I ask $1,000, that's not reasonable, right? That's on me. I should know better. However, the criticisms of somebody that posts a card and then maybe they put a period in the wrong spot and didn't realize it when they made their post can make all the difference in that, just by saying, hey, are you sure this is the price that you meant on this one? And then try to ask them and educate them. And something as simple as a DM to that person versus the public berating of them can fix their post or help educate them in a better way to find a good comp for something. Versus that public berating, because again, we're not allowed to go to the DMs to make a sale, right? We got to do that in public, but to help somebody fix their post or better comp their cards, there's not a rule against that, correct? To go to the DMs to then help
just don't
educate that
post that you've
person,
done so.
right?
Yeah, just don't post that you've done so
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
assumed that it's
And
done.
I think that could alleviate some of that stress that people get from those long-winded threads that get people battling back and forth.
Yeah,
because as soon as you do have a differing opinion, it just seems to just keep snowballing.
You know, when I first started in the MCCW, lots of people did that with me, and I've done it with people when I've been selling things, and I've had people message me and say, "Oh, I want to give you X amount for something," or this, that, the other. Now I could just jump straight on the group and say, "Oh, this person's sent me a DM to do this, that, the other." But I don't. I just say, "Well, you know, that's not my bag. I'm into the group rules, whether you like it or not." And then you find out that this person, they've been on the group for 3 years, but just never bothered doing a post, so I haven't seen the name, and they didn't understand the rules, and they just say, "Oh, cool. Well, that's yeah." You know, so can we just do such a thing? Can we just talk about it like Ned says? And I think I have noticed there seems to be like some small pockets of elitism, even from people that I've seen join the group after me, and probably don't even know as much as I possibly know. Not that I'm an expert, but I do see these little pockets of elitism, and I kind of I'm not cool with that. Yeah, I'm not happy with that.
Interesting. It's I'm interested to know how much of this is just generally a reflection on how people are being to each other on the internet post COVID.
I think that's pretty much like any source you go to. And again, it's not just, and this isn't an attack on MCCW's group, but you had mentioned that specific group.
Yeah. No,
it's any platform you go on, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It can be Facebook, it can be Instagram, it can be Twitter, it can be Snapchat, TikTok. It doesn't, you pick. Discords tend to be a little less of that, because people join specific Discords because they like that group.
I've got no idea
like how that is.
As you found out yesterday, but
yeah, on Facebook, it's like you just join a group to join a group, and people may join the MCCW group because they want to see pictures of cards and potentially buy and trade cards. Others see it as a community that they can be a part of and help develop and grow, or provide education for other people. But yeah, I think it's just when we see those specific chats that get blown out of proportion, I think it's just the way the world is these days and how we react to stuff so immediately. Whereas, 20, 30 years ago, that immediacy wasn't there. It didn't exist. We didn't have this vast worldwide ability to connect to each other instantaneously.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, you've also got that expectation. One of the things I found quite challenging, and what a lot of people forget, is that the people who kind of are commenting, or the people who are posting, or the moderators, admins, they're all people at the end of the day. And one of the things that I think is important to realize is that everyone has a different thickness of skin and a tolerance to this stuff. It doesn't make someone weak if they're a little bit, not as able to kind of withstand a little bit of internet bants. Doesn't make them less than others. Doesn't make them a snowflake, which personally I think is one of the most destructive and divisive words in modern internet speak, because it just immediately divides when it's used. It doesn't invite joining together. You got to remember that there are people at the other end of that thing, and I think social media, as a rule, is quite, people just forget that.
Right.
when they're on social media. I think it's worse possibly in a group because you're right, it does become a bit them and us, whether it's mods versus a group of members who think one way, or whether it's, a group of members having a go at someone else because of something. And you're right, there is that tribalism. And I've really noticed that.
Mhm.
Tribalism is a good word. I've noticed that a lot post-COVID in Marvel cards. And I don't think Marvel cards are the only kind of place that it's kind of happened, but you end up with cohorts of the old guard, the new blood, the money people, whatever you want to call it. And it's I won't lie, it's properly stressful to navigate. I don't know how you guys have found it. I mean, I know, Nath, when we spoke, you said you were pretty good at just like taking what you needed from it and turning the other noise off. And Jake, I think you're also pretty good at that. So what would your advice be to people who find them? It's going to sound really weird. I don't mean this to be a 101 how to use social media. But if someone's like reading something, and at the end of the day, it's fucking cardboard. If someone's reading something and they're getting like wound up about it, what advice can you give to them based on your experiences of getting wound up about stuff?
Phone down, turn your computer off, walk away, go take a walk. Just don't even react to it. I mean, we talked about it like with the curator thing. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you don't like their content, don't follow them. Because as soon as you do, you've engaged. And as soon as you engage, others are going to engage. And my advice is if you find yourself in that situation, you put a post out there and somebody leaves a negative comment and you feel like it's belittling to you or berating to you or violates the rules in some way, just leave it. You can just leave it. I mean, you don't have to engage with it. Talk to your spouse, talk to somebody else about it. Message me. Jake said it before. Reach out to me. Just send me a message.
Dr. Knife.
And I mean, the mods have a tough job. Anytime a group grows as big as your guys' group has gone to where now you're over 5,000 members, and Spidey's going to see this, and I'm sure he already does with his channel reaching 5,000 subscribers. Jen is part of Lootbox TV. They've got over 70,000 subscribers. They see it too. You're going to have negativity, and the mods do not have an easy job to moderate based on the rules and still try to separate their own personal opinions about something out of that. Yeah. That is a very tough role.
Yeah. It is a thankless task. Unfortunately, which is why Matt's done such a good job recently of this like 5,000 member thing, which he's pretty much spearheaded all on his own. I mean, he's obviously had help from people, but he ran with it. He did the live streams, and hats off to the guy. So Matt's all in, but Matt's got a job. Matt's busy. He's got a family. So hats off to him for doing that. And the thing is, it's what I found, which I had a little bit of difficulty with, and it still happens, is people reach out to you like your customer service. So
I get that.
And it's bizarre because I would have messages from people like, "Hey, I just want to ask you something." I'd see it pop up on my phone, and I'm like, "Okay." 4 hours later, the follow up hasn't been. I'm like, don't leave me hanging. What is it you wanted?
Yeah, just ask the question.
And it's like they expect you to be online. Just
to me, that's always the funniest message. Hey, can I ask you a question? Well, you just did. So
well, yeah, there is that. Yeah. And I it's difficult to deal with that. I mean, what I find is that people complain the loudest when they don't get the result they want, or that they expect, or they feel is their due or their right.
Yeah. I saw that a lot on Monday when Unbound didn't go down.
Yeah.
And then saw posts from Fred and Ian with people contacting them about the issues that Upper Deck was having. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, if anyone has a platform, that gets amplified. So obviously Fred Ian chose to post that, and perfectly understandable response. Things last. Perceptions stick, and that can prejudice the way people approach other situations. So let me talk about Unbound. I know you really dig Unbound because
I do.
you do, and you do some great content, and I love that excitement. I think Unbound is a great concept, but I think it is the two polar opposites. I think when Unbound goes well, people really dig it and they get a lot out of it. When it goes badly, I've seen it become possibly the biggest disturbance of the force, for want of another expression. Last year when the Spider-Man debacle happened, people left the group over it.
Yeah,
People were so upset that they left the group over it.
We saw early this year with the sets when people weren't able to get packs. They'd be like, "All right, I'm done. I'm out. Here's my entire collection. Take all my cards." It's like, just buy them tomorrow for cheaper. But it's that chase. It's that chase hit.
Yeah.
This year with the sketch cards being implemented, that big hit right there, the 50 autographs every week, the printing plates this year, like all that stuff is every single week now.
Yeah.
versus last year where those sketches were rewards at the end for completing the sets. It definitely has made it more stressful for people, and there's twice as many packs as there was last year.
Do you know what there is as well with Unbound? People who've been in it or not been in it or in the hobby, there becomes this sense of like self-entitlement. I've been in the hobby so long, I should get some packs. I've been doing Unbound from the beginning. I should get every week. I mean, you got it the other day, Nate, when I got 2 packs and you didn't admit it.
Oh, I didn't get a single pack. I couldn't even get. I got to the point where I added them to my cart, but none of my checkout options would load. But then people were posting like, "Hey, I got 18 packs. I got 16 packs." I'm like, it's not fair, but it is the way it is. It's the way the system is set up right now, and I'm okay with that because I'll just buy them later or I'll trade for them later. And if you're serious about going after these cards, you have to be okay with not getting them with the way the system's currently set up. Now, there's things they could change, and I know that wasn't your question, but there are things they could change. Like, we didn't get an announcement today of who the character is supposed to be on Monday. We didn't even get an announcement today that the cards are coming out on Monday.
No.
So what's going to happen? Are we moving it to Thursday? When's that going to be? Are we only going to get an hour before notification? Well, how's that fair to the people that aren't in that time zone or that are in the middle of a work day?
Yep.
And I was talking to Justin about this in the Unbound chat, and it was like, there's things they could do. If they're going to release it on Monday, Saturday, say, hey, Monday, we're releasing at 10 a.m. or 12 p.m. or Eastern Standard Time. And then 5 minutes before, send a notification of who the character is. You help eliminate the bots that way. People still know the packs are coming, and the people that really want the packs are going to buy the packs or try to, regardless of who the character is. So you eliminate some of that mad surge just because it's a specific character, because nobody knows till 5 minutes before. But at least people can make plans and mentally prepare themselves for that release. That's my opinions on Unbound as far as what they could do to fix it, to help alleviate some of that stress involved with it.
What a big problem is as well, though. Like when a set comes out, like people might moan for a few days or a week or a percentage of time. Unbounds every week, so the moaning, the complaining, the tension, the stress is weekly, and it builds up week by week, doesn't it? So it
doesn't have an opportunity to dissipate.
No, people need to be less selfish. I mean, I got 2 cards. I sent one to CGC, and I sent you the other one, mate, didn't I?
Yeah,
and I would have sent the other one. And it's like the only time I've ever seen people being selfish is when Unbound came about. And it's just like, do we need to be like that as people, as collectors of cardboard?
Yeah.
Is it
right?
Does it matter so much?
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm going to come back to the UD situation in a moment because I've some kind of just musings, really, just musings, and that's all it is, about UD and their lack of response and how their staff manage that. But just on the selfish aspect of it, and I'm not talking about any one person here. To be honest with you, I can't even remember who it was with Unbound with Spider-Man, because it's over a year ago and I've been to sleep since then. You haven't, I have. was the number of people who were part of the community who'd been perfectly cool in the gang, helping other collectors out. All of a sudden, they managed to get themselves 6 Unbound Spider-Man, and they were like, "Ka-ching! I'm going to get some dollar." So rather than help out other collectors, 200 quid, 300 quid, 400 quid, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, it's like, what the actual did you just do? What, is this Jekyll and Hyde? Why have you gone from I'm gonna swear now, Mister Nicey collector, to absolute money grabbing screwing over your fellow hobbyists? Because that's what unfortunately happened a number of times in Unbound Year One.
The people that claim to be collectors also are flippers.
I do. I hold my hand up. My hobby pays for my hobby.
Yeah,
I've got expensive taste, but I wouldn't
We
do an
all want to
Unbound
make money
type
when
of
we
thing.
can make money.
Yeah, I do, but I would have sold the sketch. If I would have got the sketch, I would have sold it.
Oh, me too. I would have sold that same day. Yep, it's gone.
yeah.
Because I'm not a
I
Ghost
bought
Spider
it.
collector, so it would have been gone. Now, if I would have pulled an autograph, I might have to think about keeping it.
I put on Instagram for a laugh. I've got 2 packs. Comment the highest bidder can buy them,
I saw that,
and it was like I'll accept cash or wife and children or whatever I put. But it was completely like
Wife and children.
tongue in cheek. It was completely tongue in cheek. I wasn't like honest. I wasn't like I
I
wasn't
was ready to
I
send you my
wasn't.
kids.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna sell the packs. No.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Upper Deck. Obviously, they can do stuff to fix that, and I'm hoping at some point they'll come back and we can talk about it with them. A lot of people get frustrated with the lack of response from Upper Deck.
Yes.
On social media. What's your feeling about that before I go on and tell you what
Well,
my
they can't.
perception is?
They can't respond to everybody. That's impossible. And some of the comments and feedback that they get, much like when we had that week with Curator on, it's not done in a manner that's professional that elicits a response
Or constructive.
Yeah, it's not constructive. Like they know that they can upgrade their servers, and they know that if they're going to continue to do weekly issues of cards that are going to have a lot of people and it's going to cause issues on their servers, that they can fix that. It just takes time, and they need to take the time to do that. However, not putting out a notification of when something's going to happen or being clear about why something didn't happen. Like this past Monday, people were able to put the cards in their cart, but couldn't check out on Monday. And that's because Upper Deck basically shut the checkout process down. Now, that doesn't just affect Marvel cards. They have to do that for their entire site. Like nobody can do anything. The hockey people can't get on there. They can't buy cards. They can't make trades. They're not into Marvel at all. They just want to do their hockey stuff, and they can't. So their lack of response to their technical issues is affecting more than just the Marvel community. And I think that's the worst part about it, is because you're affecting more collectors than you need to be.
Do you know what I think Upper Deck should do? I think you should either dedicate somebody or a certain time slot to social media, or stay away, cut your throat from it. Don't bother. Choose certain things. Go on YouTube maybe once a month or whatever, however they can facilitate that, once a week, whatever they can do. Speak to someone like yourself, somebody who's been in the hobby a long time and is either respected or disrespected, and they don't really care what that is, but you've got a lot of weight in the hobby. And then go to the conventions, or you cannot tell people. I mean, they started a Discord, didn't they? You can't tell people that you're going to be involved in social media and then don't be involved in social media. So you either do one or the other, in my eyes. I mean, I've said it before, could you imagine not getting your Pokemon cards and then trying to get hold of Nintendo? I haven't got my Pokemon cards. They haven't turned up. No chance. You'll have zero communication. Zero. So although I think Upper Deck really try, I think they should just cut it short, really. Just say, well, no, we're not going to do that, but under terms of what the Unbound circumstance. then they can allot some time to that, can't they? And say, right, well, this is really unfortunate, blah, 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 blah,
Hmm.
blah. And
Mm.
just do one or the other. You can't do 50-50 because it's people's hobbies and people get emotional over it and we take it to heart and we spend a lot of money.
Mm.
And people will just hang you by a noose. If you say, "Oh yeah, we're going to be in the hobby," they'll just hang you by a noose, and it's not going to happen. And then you'll frustrate people even more because they want that action. Then they want the reaction because you've given the idea that you're going to be there and support through social media or whatever channel that may be. But if you keep it clear, we do not do this. We may use Ian, we may use Justin, we may use Knowing as a third party as our voice when we choose to, then that's okay. And it'd stop a lot of the negativity with people anyway, because they know they're not going to get an answer. So they'll burn out and they'll stop complaining. And it's probably an easier time for everyone. But they could go to the shows, couldn't they? And release a short YouTube video. It could be 90 seconds, it could be
Mm.
3 minutes, and it'd be quite simple.
Mm.
Just show the people who are buying your product that you care a little bit. And I know you don't need to, but the nature of marble cards and hockey cards and sports is it's an emotional factor involved, isn't it? So that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, it's we're talking Upper Deck because that's what Marvel is tied to, is Upper Deck, but it's the same. PSA customer service is terrible. Like, you can't get a response from PSA. You can't get a response from Panini. Topps has very good customer service. They respond, they let you know what's going on. Upper Deck's claim processing is very good up until the point that they say, okay, you're going to get a return at some point down the road. After that, you don't know. It just shows up in the mail. But yeah, there's a lot of things you could do. Like Jake said, if you're going to be in the community, be in the community. If you're not, then just get out and just sit on the sidelines and use your third party sources to tell everybody what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been gently nudging, and Upper Deck listen to this, and they will listen to this, including the man at the top. So I've always tried to be constructive on this whenever we've spoken about Upper Deck, simply because there's no point in just coming on here and dissing them, because nothing improves for everyone else. I want this to be something that's productive and useful to people. I know that, and I don't know the details of this, but someone once told me, and I think it's a former employee, that the staff aren't allowed under contract to respond to any social media post that is negatively talking about the company.
And that would make sense because it puts them in a liability position.
It does. But from my perspective, when we were thinking about the topic of this episode, it also gives a little bit of an armor to that staff member's well-being. Because ultimately, and this ties back in to the criticism that people have with each other on Facebook and how hard they go at each other, that has an impact on people. It has, words do matter, especially when they're on screen, and people read something quickly, people type something back even quicker. How many times have you been in a conversation with someone and it's been a little bit high tension, and you can see the ... when they're replying, and you're
already typing before they even send their response.
Yeah, or you're on edge because you don't want to know, you don't know what's going to come back, and you're like
it's every message I get from Jake every single day.
Yeah.
Usual.
I imagine it will be. Even the nudes. But
here comes one right now.
Hey, bing. So from that point of view, I get that the community coordinator, and I know they've been for a few in the past years, probably wouldn't respond to that. Now, I'm not sure. The community coordinator role is kind of a poison chalice, because obviously they have to, by virtue of what they do, positively be promoting Upper Deck products. I mean, you can see by the tone of the Twitch content that they do that it's, they're promoting their product, and that's the platform they've chosen to do it on. Now, the only time I Twitch is just when you're falling asleep, and you you do that massive Twitch, just your body just jumps. Either that or on my wedding night. I won't go there, but I don't do Twitch, and it actually is it's quite a niche channel. So I do find it
Mhm.
interesting that Upper Deck choose to use that. And I would also say the same about Discord. Discord isn't as well known. I mean, it's certainly not something that I work for a marketing agency. None of the brands that we work with, and there are big and varied brands in multiple sectors, use Twitch or Discord to communicate with customers.
Right.
It would not be their first port of call to go to.
Twitch is a gaming channel, isn't it? It's a
Exactly.
gaming streaming
So
channel.
I'm always perplexed by why those channels have been chosen. Nevertheless, that's the reality that we're in. And that's how they choose to do it. But can you imagine if whoever the community coordinator is or the customer service person had actually openly tried to engage last Monday to
It'd
those
be
posts?
horrible. No, it'd be horrible.
It would be. I mean, it'd
It'd
be
be a
really
bloodbath.
uncomfortable to watch.
The first time they responded to anybody that made a negative post and they put a response out, there would have been so many people jumping all over them about it because they didn't get their chance to pull the autograph or the sketch card on that specific day.
Yeah.
And I get the frustration. I do. You know, people take time off from work or schedule vacations for these or take their bathroom breaks or their lunch breaks around it. And then it doesn't happen.
I used to from Marvel Weekly, yeah.
and now you've wasted that time.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up, there's nothing until the hour before. And I understand the frustration, but still, as people of the world, we need to like just chill about it.
Chill out. Just calm down.
And that's
you'll notice now with a lot of big companies like the cable TV companies near us and even the utility companies, etc., etc. You don't see the phone numbers on the websites anymore. Has anybody noticed? They're really hard to find because we've become
it's
a
very, very hard
global
to find
nation.
the phone number. You get a live chat, but your live chat is a bot until you absolutely have to talk to somebody.
And then I'll pass you over.
What I'm getting at is we've become a nation of a global nation of again, it's a sense of self-entitlement that we need to get this opinion across because we see everybody else do it every day on social media. And the world isn't like that. And that's why these huge companies, you don't see big, bold phone number letters anymore to give us a call. You get call centers in different countries because nobody can be doing with it. My wife worked at a big company in the UK for 10 years as a supervisor, handling calls and this, that, the other. And some days you come home in tears, you know, and some of the staff will be in tears because we've all become, well, not all of us, but yeah, we might as well generalize because it's easier to generalize than say, well, I've never done that because I've shouted at people on the phone. It's part of my job, actually. And but that's why Upper Deck will stay away, and you can understand that they stay away. And that's why many big companies these days, there's no communication because people can't act like rational human beings on the whole.
It's interesting. You think that's a kind of I don't think it's a generational thing because it's definitely happened cross generations. You know, you see young and old going at it.
It's a technology thing. You know, I think as a society, we're getting more philosophical with this now, but as a society, we've advanced faster than we should have.
Yeah.
You know, it was 40 years ago, less than 40 years ago, 30 years ago, we were still using phones that were plugged into the wall that had rotaries on them or had to take change down to the corner and use the payphone. You know, and now everything is so instantaneous and I can talk to you guys in the UK right now with no long distance phone call charges. There's nothing to stop me. Yeah, there's no delay whatsoever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek. Only better.
Only better.
Make it so.
Can you imagine when you used to watch Star Trek though? You see the communicator I used to sit and watch that on the lounge.
Yeah.
And then flip phones came out, and then all of a sudden now we got the internet, and like to me, I just think the technology.
Did you guys ever
amazing.
get Nextel with the two-way walkie-talkie on there?
No.
In the States here, we had Nextel. It was like one of the first like big cell phone companies that came out after right around that flip phone time frame. But it was just a blocky phone, but it had a built-in two-way radio. A lot of contractors used it because the radio would communicate quite a long distance. And you just press the button and go beep beep, and then the other person would hear it beep beep, and then they'd be able to talk like that without ever making a phone call.
Oh,
And like you paid for a certain number of beeps, two ways. You got a certain number of two ways based on your
wow.
plan. And they had those phones forever. And they were so hot. Everybody loved them. They even came out with the flip phone versions that had them. And then Nextel kind of went away. It changed to Sprint, AT&T, Verizon popped up. All that stuff started happening. And now we're where
Nath, you're
we're at with the
boring.
iPhones.
Nath, you're boring us now. Just
No,
get to the point,
I'm
please.
fascinated with it. I'm fascinated with it.
I'm I'm not Ian. I've got better things in my life than listen to him all the time. Get to the point, Nath.
I well, one thing
Mm,
I've noticed is there's not everyone's approach to the hobby is the same, and I think everyone assumes a lot when they look at others
yeah,
and they think, okay, because some people say it's all positive, it's going to be like this, everyone should just chill, everyone should this, um, and other people kind of go deeper, and they're in it, like living and breathing it, and for some people they take it very seriously indeed. Um, there's no sorry, basically, let me just turn that off. Someone's pinging at me. Um, oh, I've lost my train of thought now.
There's no right or
nicey
wrong in the
nice, living
hobby, Ian,
it,
Yeah,
maybe.
basically, it's
going
not
very
all
deep.
it's not all kind of floaty light for each person. And I think
No.
folk forget that. And I've been guilty of it myself. It goes deeper than many. Many folks have friends in the hobby they go talk to more than friends that they actually physically see, or even their family.
Right.
In some cases, I mean, I think I've probably spoken to you two more in the last 2 weeks than I have my brother in the last 2 years.
Me too.
Now, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but that can cause some friction because people are at different levels. You know, some
Right.
people are kind of
Yeah.
like, I'm playing, I'm playing at this level. It's got to be positive, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. No negativity. Let's just do this. And then other people are just like, well, hang on a minute. No, I should slow down. You're moving a bit quick for me, or I need to just think about this a bit more. And it's just you see that a lot. And I don't think I think that's partially an internet thing. I think it's partially just how passionate people get about these shiny bits of cardboard.
Yeah, but it isn't just the cardboard, Ian, is it? It is, as you're saying now, it's the relationships you form, isn't it? It's the
Mm,
artist and the art that you look at. Maybe you might paint or draw or whatever creative thing you may do.
mm,
It
mm,
is,
mm.
but when we say it's just cardboard, it is a lot more than cardboard.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is.
And I think that sometimes that's like our defense mechanism, our safe way, isn't it? By just saying,
Yeah.
let's belittle it. It's only cardboard. It's not so important, and that's a good thing because it takes away the negative aspect, doesn't it? It's just like in essence, it is the cardboard that brings us together. So let's stay like positive about it and enjoy
Mm,
it and have a
mm,
laugh with
mm,
it.
mm, mm. I had something to say then, but it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
Um,
that regular. What you need is a Nathan because as soon as you've forgotten, Nath just jumps in. Do it,
yeah.
Nath.
Um, what do you what do you both do to? And Jake, I know you've talked about your kind of experiences and how for you it was rock climbing that kind of helped you and then became a platform for you to be able to help others through that same experience. What do you do now to kind of, it might not be the stuff we're talking about on Facebook. It might be something in your own job or might be a family thing. What do you do now to kind of keep your together, basically? I mean, I know, Nath, you said you were seeing a therapist of late,
Yeah, but
but
the therapist doesn't keep my shit together. The therapist is just there to go to have somebody to speak to that's a neutral party. But these back here, the binders, those are what keep my shit together because I can go through there, I can sort them, putting sleeves and cards, scanning cards, putting them on eBay. Anything dealing with the cardboard keeps my shit together because it completely takes
Mm,
my mind. It lets me hyper focus on that specific task, and my mind's not running all over the place with everything else that's going on in life.
yeah.
I'm doing exactly the same. Well, there's two things. That's, I mean, I've got one of those brains that that runs at 1,000 miles an hour, and it can't concentrate on one thing. It wants to be like upstairs, downstairs. It wants to be out the back. It wants to be in the van driving to somewhere all at the same time, and it all gets a bit
Yeah,
too much. And I have to tell myself sometimes that it doesn't matter. None of it matters. Everything will change. And even if you're feeling a bit crappy and that, everything will change. And then I'll just get into the wonders of modern technology. I'll get into my phone and I might go on the Facebook group or on Instagram, see some messages. If there's some fun there, I'll look at it. If there's no fun, I won't look at it. And then I'll just start looking at cards. And this is like when I'm thinking I'm not in the house, I'm out and I'm stressed or whatever's going on during the day. I mean, I have days when I've got maybe 10 grown adults on the building site coming to me, this is wrong, this has fell off, my cat's died, my dog's just been run over. I think I've just knocked the building down. And sometimes I just get in the van, I drive away, and I look on eBay and I look at some Marvel cards. I will look at Instagram and I'll look at some posts or the Facebook group and look at posts and just
mm,
zone out, just
mm,
put myself away just for a short period of time. Or sometimes, I mean, I do this thing a lot. If you can never get hold of me for 24 hours, it's because I've turned my phone off. I've turned my phone off. I've turned my social media, and I do this quite often. I've even left site where I work, where people need me. Excuse me. And because it's got too much to demand from people to complain and their
mm,
attention,
mm,
and I've turned everything off, driven home, and just thought, well, the building can fall down, social media can fall down, and not turned anything back on for 24 hours. And the
mm.
funny thing is, nobody cares. You realize that nobody cares. You turn that off for 24 hours and you think, oh, I can't do this because such a body might message or I might get this email or I'm expecting. I'm telling you now, you can do it for a week and people might start thinking, oh, they've not been about for a week. Don't feel guilty. Turn it off
Yeah.
Mm.
if you're getting wound up, frustrated. Turn the lot off. It's quite simple and concentrate on something else. Or don't concentrate on anything. Go outdoors, have a walk, have a run, go through your cards, cook a meal you haven't cooked before, or just focus on something that isn't what is giving you the negativity.
Mm. What's there's a word for that, mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, yeah, because that came up an awful lot during the first lockdown. I say the first lockdown. I don't know, it's different in the States, but we refer to it as the first lockdown in the UK because we had several. But during the first lockdown, people would invariably do one or two things. They would either just throw themselves into work, or what I did was throw myself into retraining. Like I did loads of online courses, free courses, because I was
Mhm.
myself that I'd lose my job because I'd not long, what the lockdown forced me to do was tell my wife that I had $20,000 worth of debt that
I
I
thought you
built.
said sell your wife, then, Ian.
No,
Sorry.
no, 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 no. That I'd built up over the previous 6, 7 years. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden I might lose my job. I've just taken a 20% pay cut because everyone had that, and we were furloughed. And it's like, okay. And then the other side of it is that a lot of people just like would literally just do gardening or baking. Baking went bonkers during the first lockdown over here. You couldn't get bread in the shops for love nor money. And that was people just focusing on one thing. Mindfulness just takes their mind off something else. It could be Tai
Yeah.
Chi naked in the meadow. It could whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. And everybody's got their own thing.
Yeah. My thing was to just throw myself into stuff. It took me a couple of months to actually slow down and start focusing on other stuff. And then there's all that going on. So if anything, I threw myself more into the podcast and the group more. To
Yeah.
kind of have that escape from that. It's what I've started doing this year. You mentioned it just then, actually, Jake. About brain going 1,000 miles an hour and then being all over the place. And you mentioned then going for a run. I took up running this year,
Mm.
and I'm someone who, if I ran for a bus, I'd be fucked for 2 days. I'd have shin splints. I wouldn't be able to walk properly. And that's a 50-yard, if that. And so I started doing it, and I'm at a point now where I did the couch to 5K thing, and I went out this morning and I did a 5K run. What I find when I go out on them, and it's not easy for me. It's not easy for anyone to do, I don't think. But some of these people who've done it for years make it look easy. Getting up and getting out there's the hardest thing. But the next thing for me, I find, is the first couple of kilometers. I'm just like, when people talk about, to calm down, you slow your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
For the first couple of kilometers, I'm just getting to the point where I'm slowing my thinking to actually gradually stop firing off in all directions and thinking about this and thinking about that. And then eventually you start getting into your breathing and stuff like that. And, that's the way I kind of do that. But, being able to do that outside of running is an enormously difficult thing. I mean, I'm thrilled that the cards do that for you, to that degree. So hopefully people will find, regardless of the social media aspect of it, hopefully people will find something within whatever place they hang their hat online that gives them that same kind of escape, is my hope. So speaking of things that prove an escape on social media, what have you guys cooked up that I know about, but that people listening don't know about, that may be happening on a social media network near you very soon? Who wants to go for that one?
Nathan?
Oh, I'm doing all the work again? Okay.
Well, you'd have to translate. I say it, and then you translate later, or we just cut to the chase.
So you might as well just
And
skip
you
the
just
translation. Just let me do it. All right, cool.
Basically, yeah.
So obviously we did the mental health podcast, and we had talked before doing the podcast, because I was on that specific podcast, I was just the guest host filling in for Gingy, and I still am just the guest host. Gingy, you need to get back. But we had talked prior to that episode being recorded that we were going to just talk about mental health and the hobby, because that was the same week that we had the curator on the roundtable. So there was a lot of the mental anxiety stuff going on with that show that we wanted to continue to talk about moving forward with that. After we got done with that, and I'm 6 Guinnesses deep and Jake's probably 4 or 5 Strongbows deep, he's like, hey, we should do this. We should do a stream about this and just do like a 24-hour thing. And then we just like ran with it. We're like, yep, let's do this. So he set me off. So I went and started creating all these ideas and stuff. And he had a whole bunch of ideas. So we just kind of mashed them together. And we're going to be doing, and this is our actual public announcement of this stream. We've sent it out to people that we want to have on, and there's more people we want to have on. We just wanted to kind of work our way down that list of people. And Ian, you still have not accepted our invite either.
I've got to. No, I'm up for it. I just haven't looked at the time slot. So
no, you're
crazy.
fine. You're fine. But yeah, this is our official public announcement of this. So we're doing it on your podcast. So thank you for giving us this platform to be able to do that. June 23rd and 24th, we're going to be doing a 24-hour mental health marathon. We're calling it MentalCon 23. It is going to be a 24-hour fundraiser leading up to that, and to like the entire time leading up to it and during the stream, for the Wounded Warrior Project, who is a fantastic veterans nonprofit organization that helps veteran families with all kinds of disabilities. Mental health is a big part of that as well. And we're going to have all sorts of guests coming on, and the guests coming on can talk about anything they want to talk about. They can open any product they want to open up. They can give away anything they want to give away. No requirements. If you want to be a guest and you want to come on the show just to be in a time slot, you are welcome to come on the show. But I personally, and Jake has said that he's going to try to do it, I am going to be on the stream for the entire 24 hours from start to finish. I'm going to introduce the show, and I'm going to sign off the show, and I'm going to be there the entire time. Now, we are going to have some pre-recorded interviews, just because it's going to be impossible for us to do them live, such as Fred and Ian. We are going to do an interview with Fred and Ian. Of course, they speak French They don't speak very much English, so it is going to be almost impossible for us
That's
to
why
do
I
that
haven't had him on this one.
live. Yeah.
Well,
So I used to
Nathan's
take
learning
French when I was in
French.
high school. I took high school French, and I'm going to try to brush up on my French over the next month, so that way I can actually ask the questions in French. Melfi has volunteered his services as the video editor / adding the translations to the video. We already have responses to the questions. We already sent the questions off to streamline that. We have guests such as Ash Gonzalez is going to close out the show for us. So that's going to be fantastic. I don't want to run down the whole list of guests, but we've got some of the big names that are out there. Justin's going to be on. Doom and Elusive will be on. Manu's going to be on. We have Azza in Australia. He's going to be on. It's going to be a completely international show. We're still working on a few other guests. Jake, I'll let you announce your guest that you have primarily lined up as far as the artist goes. One of the guests we're working on trying to get, and we have actually established a conversation, is my favorite, Peach Momoko. So I am really hoping, I think she's debating whether or not she would want to do it live, because I know she doesn't like to do those because she wants her translator there. And I've expressed to her that pre-recorded or live, you're more than welcome to have your translator there and review the clip before we record it and send it off for the show. But we're going to spread that stuff out over the course of the 24-hour show. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully we can get a Marvel Unbound reveal during the show as well, so we can share that. We are sending off some cards to get graded with CGC. We're going to get some pedigrees put on that. We're going to call it, pedigree will just be like MentalCon 23. And then we'll do live auctions with the slabs, where the live auction will happen in the chat, and whoever wins will just go to the Wounded, wherever we have the fundraiser set up at, and they'll be able to place their donation to the charity for that, and then we'll just ship them the card.
Great.
We've talked about doing like box openings and giving away the hits, but then the hits will get sent off to CGC to get the same kind of treatment with the pedigree slab, get it graded. When it comes back, then it can get shipped directly to whoever won those items as well. But, so yeah, it's gonna be great.
We're also open to any more artists who would like to get involved.
Absolutely.
Because we know that artists are a big draw for people. And it's going to be better than like listening to me and Nathan ramble on for 24 hours and getting jiggy with it. So anything that's good.
Get all blitzed and
yeah. We're also open to any suggestion. We want it to be a community. So the idea for MentalCon 23 is we could have a MentalCon 24, hopefully. And it doesn't have to be me and Nathan who can do it. This isn't a selfish thing. This is just a community-wide thing for us. So we'd like anybody and everybody to get involved, as long as it's positive and fun, and we're going to have a laugh. We're not going to.
And it doesn't even have, like, you use that word positive, and I don't want to use that. I'll let you use that word. I don't want to use that word. I don't care if it has some negativity to it. I don't want it to be toxic, because negativity is part of it, and negativity is part of the mental health aspect of it. So that needs to be discussed, but it needs to be productive, is what I would say.
That's a better word to use now, to be honest with you. I mean, we're open to suggestions. If you've got a stupid suggestion of what we want to do over the 24 hours, just hit us up, DM us on Instagram, contact us through Facebook or whichever. We're quite open to anything, really. We just want to get everybody together. And we will have some serious parts during the 24 hours.
Mm.
It isn't going to be all laughs and giggles. Yep. We'll have lots of serious parts as well. But as long as then we come out with a positive outcome later on, and it'll just keep going, and it'll take its own course. We'll plan everything, and everything will go wrong, and nothing will go right, and
there'll be guests that don't show up in their time slots, but they show up in a different one, and that's all fine. It doesn't make a difference. The timeline is more there just to kind of have an outline for us to kind of keep things moving along too, so we don't get too far behind schedule with it. But we're going to have gaps in there where we're just going to be like, all right, now what do we do? Because we've talked about doing, like, I'll hop on the phone and I'll jump in the car and I'll still be on the stream, but I'll be driving to the card shop, and then we'll get to the card shop and maybe do an interview or a box opening at the card shop. and stuff like that. And, just something to make it fun that people can pop on whenever they want to. And if they want to rewatch the show or start from the beginning, but they're 4 hours behind, throw it that 1.5, 1.75 playback speed and catch right back up. So
20. Sorry, carry on.
We need to mention who I'm excited about. Miss Owens on as a guest. We're going to have
Miss
Brianna
Owens.
Owens on, but she can't make it, so we're going to pre-record it.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's going to be fun. So if there are other people who say would like to do such a thing, but I can only pre-record it, we can sort something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
One way or another.
Because we'll be able to just plug that into a time slot that has openings, and then we can play it during that time slot. And if people want to watch that specific thing afterwards, we're going to be adding chapters to it. So that way people can go in and see, okay, hey, this artist is at, 5 hours and 62 or 5 hours and 52 minutes. That's when they start. I can just go there and I can watch that artist interview or discussion. And yes, so June 23rd and 24th, we'll be starting at 8 p.m.
to a Saturday,
8 p.m. Eastern. Yep, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Friday the 23rd. We'll wrap up 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And we wanted to do the 24-hour thing because we wanted to have the entire global network of the Marvel, and it doesn't have to be Marvel, the community of people that are either involved in mental health stuff, because we'll have people that aren't into Marvel cards at all. We're going to have some people like that on the show just to kind of talk about their experiences.
Well, there's some good time slots there still available. So stick me in at 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Which is 10 a.m. on the Saturday morning. There you go. You heard it here first. I've just opened finally opened the Google Doc that you sent me, Jake.
And now you're on.
And now I'm there. There we go.
And I'm going to put to be determined for your topic.
List. What's that? Sorry?
I said I'm going to put to be determined for your topic.
Oh, yes. I haven't got a Danny LaRue what I'm going to be talking about. But
no, that's fine. And you don't. And again, you don't have to have a specific thing to talk about either. We just come on and just join into the chat.
Yeah, just say I want to come on.
Oh yeah, we got some cool cats. Like Jake, we could probably talk about everybody that's on this list, right? Like nobody's surprised. So we got my friend Jeff Shea. He's Shiggity30 on Instagram. He's a collector, but he's in the MCCW group too. He interacts there. Manu is going to be on. Manu is going to be on with us. That's 9.9 Newsstand. Everybody knows him from Spidey's show.
I really need to get him on the show.
Marvelous Pax, he's going to be on.
Victor,
Joshua, Marvel Madness MCU is going to be on. Doom and Elusive. They picked a couple time slots there. They're going to hang out for quite a while. Doom and Elusive. They registered for 3 of them. So
I'm really excited about when Doom and Elusive come on. Free comics, Leo, or Monster in the Iron Mask, Sergio, because their comic knowledge and art knowledge is just off the charts. It's amazing. And if we can all bore people to death, it's going to be like Airplane. Remember the movie Airplane when they were next to it?
I love it.
Like setting themselves on fire, and that's what happened when we get deep into stuff.
I love that movie so much. So,
who else have we got, Nathan?
Ozza Collectibles, he's going to be on. He's the 4 a.m. Eastern time slot because he is in Australia, so that'll be kind of evening time for him, I think, or late afternoon. And then Mr. Ian Taylor, Sir Ian Taylor here is going to be on with us as well. Justin Spidey Hits, he's going to be on with us. Cool Cards, Michael, he's going to be with us at the 9 o'clock time slot. We got Melfi Collectibles. You guys might know him previously as Silent Collects. He's going to be on. He just started his new YouTube channel too. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but just yesterday on the 29th, he started his YouTube channel. So guys, check him out.
Cool.
And then Ash Gonzalez is going to wrap us up for the evening. He asked specifically for that spot. So we gave that to him. Of course, we'll have the pre-recorded interview with Brianna Owens and Fred Ian. We're going to show Jake's BBC video a couple times throughout the show as well. And we're trying to line up Peach Momoko. And again, any other artists that want to be a part of the show, they have an open invitation. They can just reach out to us.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just add in? We'll also be having Swami. Swami does a really good game where he gets lots of people on the stream, and he shows cards. If you haven't seen his live on YouTube where he does it, and he'll put cards on the screen and he'll say which is the most expensive card and which would you buy or not buy.
Really? Right.
It just makes a complete game. It's a load of fun as well. Yeah,
the Price is Right. Sounds like.
A bit
Yeah.
like that, yeah. But he
Yeah.
just like opens
He's just
chat and
got to figure out a time slot. But yeah, he's said he wanted to come on. We're trying to get Billy from Watch Me Open to come on to possibly do his Marvel on the Brain
Oh,
as an
yes.
episode. That'd be great to do. You know, we want to do something fun. You know, if people want to come on and have their own little game that they want to do or whatever, I think that'd be really fun.
Cool. I like this. I like it a lot. I forgot what I was going to ask when I started speaking just now, because I'm all kinds of excited about this. I like you've called it on the Google Doc. It's called, I think it's a working title that you had before you settled on the one you've got now. It's called
Oh yeah,
Marvel
Marvel
Mental Fun.
Yeah.
Which I quite like. You need to get someone to jiggy up a logo for you.
Yes.
Get the
Yep.
branding.
We have asked Valor Comics to help us out, but I think Jake is
Cool.
also looking at some Fiverr options too. And then we'll kind of, because Valor might just do like the thumbnail for us for like the stream and stuff. And then Jake is probably approaching it more from like the official logo that we'll use for
I'll
the
just
event
pay
for
I'll just pay
merchandise.
somebody on Fiverr. I'll just go on Fiverr and pay somebody $10
Yeah.
or something. It's probably easier than somebody would. But if anybody's good with logos and wants to be part of the community and help us out, I'd much prefer somebody. I'll give you the $10. I'll give you $20. It
Somebody
doesn't
that we
matter.
know in the community, absolutely.
I would much prefer that than it's
Yeah.
just all like an organic effort that we, as a community.
Yeah,
It's about
yeah,
all
yeah.
of us. We're gaining nothing from this.
Yeah.
It'll cost us dollars to do it in time and effort. That's fine. And
Yeah. And
I
we're
don't
still
mind
setting
that.
up.
So
We're reaching out to Wounded Warrior Project to see if we can get them to come on to start us off with an interview.
Cool.
As far as talking about their foundation and stuff.
Yeah.
And figure out what they prefer is the best way for donations. Right now we're leaning towards like a GoFundMe sort of setup, because that will go directly to them. We don't have to touch any funds, and we don't want to touch any of the funds. Like all the live action auction stuff, we want that to go directly through however we're sourcing out that that fundraiser. So that way they get all the funds and there's no like
no discrepancies.
There's no discrepancies, no perceived, hey, you're getting something out of this. And the only thing we're getting out of this is the ability to hang out with everybody for 24 hours. So
never laugh. Yeah.
And the laugh.
Right. Sounds really good. I think people are going to be excited about this. I really do. And obviously, Phil, I'll have a chat with the guys on the admin team so that obviously promote it there. I'll put it on the podcast channels as well. And I'll tell you who would be good. He's not so much in Marvel cards, but you should consider reaching out to Rebel Base Card.
I knew you were going to say that as you were saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a sound guy. He's he loves the crossover, of cards.
The thing is,
Marvel.
It isn't only about Marvel. I do Marvel, Pokemon, soccer cards. I love watching anime, and that's why the name Mental Con and not Marvel, etc., etc., etc. Because it's about us as a community and coming together, and we all have the same issues or don't have the same issues or whatever that may be. And so that'd be amazing to have someone like that.
Yeah. So no, he'd be well up for it, I'm sure. This is fascinating. Do you want to do you want me to open a mail call? A rather exciting mail call.
Of course, yeah.
For potential guests?
No, just now for you to see it.
Oh, yeah,
sorry,
sure.
I've rather rudely assumed you finished talking about.
I was confused when he was talking about open a mail call.
No. It's just partly because I'm just really super excited.
Okay, yeah.
Now, before we do that, will you do you know yet whose YouTube channel it will be on?
It's going to be on 2, right, Jake? It's going to be on my channel and then on the one that you just set up, correct?
I've set up a channel. I have no intentions of being some YouTube star at all. I hate the camera and this, that, and the other. But I have set up a channel just so I can put it on there, and it will be on there.
Good.
Yeah,
and camera loves.
I can make that available. Wait.
Good. All right. The camera clearly doesn't love you because it's tried to blur you out multiple times during this recording.
The whole day. Every time he kind of shifts left or right, it's like gone.
Yeah, he's been sitting very still for the last half an hour, and it's actually not done too
Sorry,
badly.
yeah.
Not done too badly at all. And what else was I going to ask? You got to get the hashtag. You got to have people quoting hashtag. Have you figured out your hashtags yet?
Oh, it'd
Oh,
probably
no.
just be like hashtag MentalCon.
No, I'm just coming from a marketing background. You see, you got to consider this stuff. You see, we need to get you guys trending.
I think we
MentalCon
just
23.
keep it consistent and we just go hashtag MentalCon.
Hashtag MentalCon. That sounds good to me.
Because then they can that hashtag can carry over regardless of what year it is. That hashtag can
What year
continue.
it is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. I am getting something
So-
relevant to what we're about to talk about. I'm not just
So then
showing my arse.
what'll happen is somebody will steal the mental con and do something like high production and organized, and nobody will ever watch us ever again. Well done, boys.
Well, initially, our initial thoughts were let's postpone public notification of this until we're like 2 weeks prior to the show, like once we have all the guests and everything lined up. But we were like, why don't we just announce it? And it's going to make it easier
Just
for us
do
to
it.
get the guests.
Yeah, I mean, this episode will be
because everybody's going to know about it, and they can it can build up.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
2 months.
I mean, this isn't live, but we're probably. I mean, if I leapfrog it, because I do have another one in the can that was supposed to release this week, I could release this Thursday or the following Thursday. So
Your show, your call, sir.
well, and I
Soon
don't.
as I prefer it as soon as possible.
Right,
Get
in that
it,
case,
get it. I
I'm going to
think so.
leapfrog it. I was going to say something that really rude.
Please.
Say I'm not going to release until you're ready, but but you can read into that word.
Let's stay away from that.
No, let's not. Let's embrace it and get filthier.
Can't Andrea's next door. She'll shout at me.
There'll be
She'll
no
say, not
embracing.
again.
What with your neighbour?
Yeah.
Do not embrace the release.
Delay the release as long as possible. Think about the football team. Right. We've lost it. Right.
Those of you listening on the podcast, the Jen has showed up.
Yes. Now, do you guys remember this stat, don't you?
Oh,
yeah,
gosh, yes.
I told you the gems have showed
Oh,
up.
my.
Marvel Gems. Now,
Oh,
there is nothing in this, by the way. I don't have a sealed box of Marvel Gems, unfortunately.
No.
Although I wish I did.
I was hoping we were going to get frosted.
No. Explain to me afterwards what that means. So the reason I show you this one, Marvel Gems, is because I've got a mail call that I was going to say for my Mr. Felicia Hardy YouTube channel, but I've decided to let you guys have first look at it. And
I'm excited.
I think
Is it an X23 for me, Ian? It's definitely an X23 for me.
It's really not. I want to know what happened to X's 1 through 22, Jake. Do they not get any love in your world?
No,
Those
most of them
clones
died,
did not
didn't
work
they?
out. Those clones didn't work out.
No, right, fair enough. Right, so we are out of the bubble wrap and we are having to use the craft knife. For those who are watching, I'm opening a package
Box.
that came very flat, and it's probably about just over letter size, I'd say, A4.
A4. And
it's
well packaged.
It is very well packaged, yes. And
There isn't like tons of sellotape around it. There isn't
I took
zip
out
ties.
Yeah, I took out the I took it out of the bubble wrap, and it's come very well packaged from South America, which may give you a clue, as if you didn't need one already. So that was the first clue. South America is the second clue. Now I've not clearly not opened this, so I've just done through all the tape. So I'm about to open that bit, and it's it's taped like that. So I've got to do more very, very, very careful, gentle cutting just to release this from its bonds. I'm going to release it.
Is it Miss Hardy by any chance?
Brace yourselves, for I am releasing.
Is it possibly Miss Hardy? Do we possibly know who the artist is?
You might
already?
think so. I couldn't possibly comment. There may well be some squealing about to happen. He says, trying to.
The word Olivetti wouldn't mean anything, would it, by any chance?
It would.
Oh my!
There we go. So what I'm holding here is the original artwork, and I say artwork because this is as original as it got physically. Because after this, he scanned them in the originals were the final pieces were digital, and this is
Yeah.
from the Exquisite.
It is, yeah.
Mm,
What a piece of art that is. That's
So
amazing.
that image
lovely.
there is the digital finished, and
Jake, this goes
these.
back to what we were talking about with Melfi last night.
It's just amazing. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
original pieces of art like that, and it's just like,
It's just
oh
astonishing.
Mhm.
my word.
That's
It,
awesome.
it, it is. I'm kind of speechless. Oh, shit.
It is beautiful. Nathan's so speechless he's actually left the room. Um,
Sorry, m-
he's off.
my alarm's going off. My
Oh,
alarm's
hop
going
in,
off,
hop
telling
in.
me to wake up for the
Oh wow.
podcast.
So
That's
this
amazing, Ian.
this one.
Is it?
So carry on.
I was just going to say, so would there have been like a smaller, rougher sketch of that, and then it moves up to that sketch, and
I
then that
don't
gets
know
sent
if he did
away?
anything smaller than that. I didn't get a sense from
That there was.
the lady that I spoke to, whose name was Delphina, who is his agent, I
I mean,
believe.
not that that matters or
No.
takes anything away from anything. I'm just asking the process. I just love when you see the process of the artist
Oh
and you
my
look and you think,
goodness, what are you showing us there, Nath?
I've got a piece of that. Oh, here we go.
Hello, that's
What's
saucy.
it? That's a rogue.
Wow,
That's a rogue.
that's a
Very
very
risque rogue.
risque
You
rogue. Who's
can't
that
show
by?
that. You can't show that.
Why can't I? The people on the podcast
It,
can't see it.
Yeah, but the people on YouTube can, and I'm a very
YouTube can.
impressionable 49-year-old, I'll have you know. Um, I don't need to be seeing things like that in my
I like
condition.
that. That's funny.
But now, one thing that Ariel did do, in fact, I've just realised it's in a package which is probably covering it slightly, so I need to take it out of there. So it is there is a
That's
slight
amazing.
opaque sheet over the top of it, but
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
what he has done is he's also done painting recreations of them, but what he's done is he's scanned in the
Oh,
pencils. He
Yeah.
scanned in the pencils here and then did a fully hand painted recreation, but that wasn't the original art. So if you see physical paintings of these out there, you could I could have had him do full art on this, but I wanted to
Yeah.
own the original piece as final as
I
it
would.
got.
I think
Um,
that's the smart thing.
yeah, but there is a physical color version of this out there, but
Mhm.
it's based on a print of these original pencils. So not to belittle that piece of work, but
No. I mean,
I'm very
that's me. For me, that's what
personally
I
I
love.
wanted the
Personally, I love that.
provenance of getting the actual original art in its
Yeah,
most
yeah.
finished final form, and that. So it's just what I wanted. So goodness
Savage
me,
Rogue.
Nath. Wow, who's the
You
artist on
showing
these that
that?
you're holding up?
This one is Nito San.
Okay,
I got
wow.
these from the Infinite Collector
Oh,
on
cool.
his he does these usually on like Friday nights. He'll do original arts. You'll like this one, sir.
Oh, nice. Oh, hello. That is nice. Who's that by?
Hello. That one I cannot read it.
Okay,
I wish I could, but I cannot.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Looks like it
What?
might be Sydney. It looks like it might say Sydney down here.
Okay, cool.
Why is
And then
everyone flexing Black Cat? Why is everyone
this
flexing
one
Black
is
Cat?
my
What's going
favorite
on?
one that I have from him.
Oh, hello, darling.
Ladies
Very
and
nice.
gentlemen, we've got two elderly perverts who need to
Very
be kicked
nice.
out of the establishment because they're
We're
just
all
looking at
trying to hold our release as long as we
naked or
can.
spandex
Hey,
ridden
excuse me, what was
Felicia
that about holding a
Hardys.
release? Anyway, so there she is.
Oh,
There she
there
is.
goes Ian shot. There goes
There she
Ian
is.
shot.
There she is.
I
Right.
haven't got any black. I haven't got any Black Cat to flex.
You've got,
So,
Well,
yes,
you
you have. You
better.
got those royal foils
oh yeah, I have, yeah.
that you've
Took
been
to that.
pimping out on eBay. They're
I have,
beautiful, those
yeah.
royal foils. Worth every
Yeah,
single
yeah.
penny as well.
I think so too.
Yeah, they're lovely cards. I'm glad I got them. I got them super early, not long after the set came out, when people didn't really, weren't really all over it as they are now. And I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't be able to afford them now.
No,
I really wouldn't.
I'm actually selling them too cheap, but I want to do something else with the money. So,
Yeah.
so
Well,
boys and girls, if you can make the hobby pay for the hobby and don't rack up the huge credit card bills, it's a better choice. It's a better place.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Right, guys, I thank you for coming on and talking about this. I think I'm I always get a bit stuck for what to say when I talk about this subject, and I think that's because I'm never sure about how much to share and how much to reveal and things like that. So it's been a little bit cathartic, for want of a better word. So
and sometimes it's a little easier to share once you have a couple pints in you too.
I think so. Yeah. If I had listen, I would be sitting here semi-clothed with an off-the-shoulder little number,
Nice.
wearing denim hot pants and purple satin mules, having this conversation if I had a few drinks in me, and maybe we can arrange that to happen. I'll leave you with that mental image. I've no idea who's going to introduce this episode. Nathan, you got to choose last time, so Jake. Any particular intro or artist that you can think that we might have in the bag that you want to hear at the top of this show?
I'd like Simone Bianchi. That's possible.
It's absolutely possible. Great choice. English or Italian?
Both.
Both. Okay, I'll put one at the start and one at the end.
There we go. Perfect.
There we go. Which will confuse people at the end because they'll think the episode's starting again. But
it's on loop. What happened?
It's on a loop. Sometimes that happens. So this episode, I'm going to release this episode this week. For those listening to you, I would say it's already out, so you don't have that anticipation. And then next week's episode, I can confidently say, is one of the most hilarious herding of cats I've done in a long while, and I really enjoyed it. So
Awesome.
Look forward to that. And one thing I will say is it's been a while, but I'm going to open up hobby questions. Something that Norrin and I used to do a couple of times a year. We used to put hobby questions on the group, and people used to submit stuff, and we just used to answer them. And we got some really good stuff, and some of it became its own episode. So I'll be putting that up on the group. So by the time you hear this, you'll probably be live. And anyone who wants to come on to help field said hobby questions, so you don't just hear me talking for best part of 2 hours, which is never a good thing. Feel free to hit me up slide into my DMs, people. Slide into my DMs.
For a slow release.
Gorgeous. There's so much release happening in this episode. I think we need to go and collectively clean up. Guys, thank you. Don't bugger off, because as soon as we've done this, we're going to off to Instagram and open this box of Shang-Chi from Upper Deck.
That's going to be fun.
Just for some gigs. So by the time you hear or see this, we would have done that. All right, guys. Do you want to kind of synchronize and do the sign off for
Jake,
the episode?
do you know the outro?
Do you know what we're doing here? We didn't prepare this at the top, did we?
Oh,
we
Jake.
We don't. Oh, mental con.
I'm just gonna put it in the chat. You know how we end our episodes.
I do know what it is, Ian.
You do know what it is. You're just being an awkward bugger, aren't you? That's what it is. He's just being.
He just doesn't want to.
Bugger. He just doesn't want
to.
Do
it, Nate. Do it, Nate. Do it, Nate.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Ian's podcast. Don't forget, check out the MentalCon 23 on June 23rd and 24th. And if you'd like to be a guest on the MentalCon, feel free to reach out to Retroverse UK on Instagram or myself, True Blue Collectibles, as well. And don't forget, enjoy collecting.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors podcast. Tasting notes and visuals for each episode can be found on our Facebook page. We're on most social media at the MCC Pod, and you can also watch the video of each episode recording on our YouTube channel. Leave us a voicemail via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Please take a second to subscribe, like, and review our show wherever you find us. Our Facebook community is at MCCW Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide and MMC Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. The great music we use on our audio version is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. thanks to the collectors, artists and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.
Hi, this is Simone Bianchi and you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.